Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we've got a really fascinating stack of sources in front of us.
Yeah, we are pulling from a lot of different angles today.
Yeah.
Historical data on sleep cycles, some pretty intense sociological critiques on technology, and predominantly the insights from John Mark Comer's book, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Right. And to just kind of
Mhm.
kick things off, there's this quote from a woman named Corrie Ten Boom that I came across in the notes. And I mean, it honestly hit me like a ton of bricks.
Oh, I know exactly the one you're talking about.
Yeah, she said, if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy.
It is just a brilliantly jarring statement,
It really is.
especially in our modern context, because we typically wear busyness like this badge of honor. We treat it as a sign of importance or like ultimate productivity.
Yeah, but when you look at the underlying argument of all these sources, you realize that both sin and busyness have the exact same functional effect on a human being.
Exactly. They completely sever your connection to everything that actually matters.
Right. So if you are listening to this right now and you've ever felt like you were just skimming your life instead of, actually living it, this deep dive is designed specifically for you.
Mm-hmm. We are talking directly to you
Yeah.
today.
Our mission today is to unpack how this modern epidemic of hurry is actually destroying our peace, our relationships, our spirituality, and how this rather unexpected ancient template might just be the cure.
And I think what's really crucial to establish right up front is how we continually misdiagnose the problem.
Right, the whole time management thing.
Exactly. We treat hurry like it's just a time management issue. The default assumption is always, well, if I just get a better calendar app or, if I optimize my morning routine to shave off 10 minutes, I'll finally feel at peace.
Like we just need to life hack our way out of it.
Right. But Comer argues the issue is infinitely deeper. He describes hurry as a form of violence on the soul.
Wow. Violence on the soul.
Yeah. And if we look at the psychological and spiritual realities of human nature, hurry and love are fundamentally incompatible.
That makes total sense to me. Because if you look at something like the Apostle Paul's famous definition of love in the historical texts, the very first descriptor he uses is love is patient.
Yes. Patient.
You literally cannot do it in a rush.
Precisely. I mean, just think about the mechanics of human behavior for a second. All of our absolute worst moments as humans, whether as a partner, a parent, a friend, or just like a stranger in traffic, they usually happen when we are in a hurry.
Oh, absolutely. I know when I'm running late for a meeting, I am not just walking faster. My empathy for everyone around me completely shuts down.
Hmm.
Like you stop being a person to me and you just become this obstacle in my way.
Yeah.
My brain enters this fight or flight state where literally the only thing that matters is the destination.
And that is the exact physiological mechanism at play. When you are rushed, your amygdala just takes over, and your capacity to love, to listen, to be present, it basically plummets to
But
zero.
vanishes.
Right, because love, joy, and peace are not just fleeting, spontaneous emotions. They are deep conditions of the heart. And they require a pace that our modern culture of hurry absolutely annihilates.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because before we can cure the disease of hurry, we need to figure out how we got so infected in the first place.
Right, we have to look at the history.
Yeah, and looking at the chronological history in our sources is just wild. It points out that before Thomas Edison and the commercialization of the light bulb, the average person slept 11 hours a night. 11.
I mean, it sounds like a complete fairy tale to a modern listener.
I can't even imagine getting 11 hours.
Right. But when you look at the biology, before artificial light, humans took their cues entirely from the sun and, the natural rhythms of their own bodies. When it got dark, you just went to sleep.
There was nothing else to do.
Exactly. The clock and the light bulb completely severed that biological connection. We created this concept of artificial time. We started taking our cues from machines and factory whistles rather than daylight.
And that completely shifted human psychology. We started treating ourselves like machines that could just be plugged in and run around the clock.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the digital era.
Yes. There's this incredible metaphor in the notes about how our brains process information today. It says that once upon a time, reading a book or having a deep conversation made us like scuba divers in a sea of words.
I love that analogy.
Right, like we went deep into the water. But now, we are like a guy on a jet ski, just zipping along the surface, skipping over the waves.
The jet ski metaphor perfectly captures the modern attention span. It highlights both the incredible speed and, sadly, the tragic superficiality of how we live.
Yet we're moving so fast but not actually seeing anything.
Exactly. What the digital attention economy is doing on a neurological level is chipping away at our fundamental capacity for concentration. We have literally trained our brains to expect a constant, swiftly moving stream of hyperstimulating particles.
Just dopamine hit after dopamine hit.
Ugh. Right. And we really need to sit with the brutal truth about the mechanisms behind those smartphones we are all glued to.
This is the scary part.
It is, because you aren't the customer, you are the product. Your phone works for a multi-billion-dollar tech corporation, and they have incredibly sophisticated algorithms designed to basically monetize your attention and your peace of mind.
Yeah, this is where the cultural critic Neil Postman's work becomes so prophetic.
Oh, right.
Long before the iPhone even existed, he warned that technology is never just a neutral tool sitting on a table waiting to be used. Every piece of technology carries an agenda. It demands scrutiny.
The agenda of the smartphone is to distract you, to keep you scrolling, because that is how the business model functions. It actively demands your continual psychological engagement.
I think about it like a smartphone battery, but applied to our actual soul.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, like we treat our attention span like it's plugged into an infinite power supply. We think we can handle it all. But every single notification, every doom scroll, every ping from a group chat is literally draining our internal battery life.
We are running on empty.
So this brings up a massive question. If technology and artificial time are the engines driving this hurry epidemic, are we just doomed to be jet skiers forever? Or is there a way to actually dive deep again without, like, throwing our phones into the ocean?
Well, the good news from the source material is that we don't have to throw our tech in the ocean.
Okay, phew. That's a relief.
Right, but the cure does require a fundamental paradigm shift. The solution to an overbusy life isn't finding more time, because you literally can't.
Right, we all get 24 hours.
Exactly. The solution is to drastically slow down and simplify our lives around what actually matters. And to do that, Comer suggests looking at an ancient template, the way of Jesus.
Okay.
But, and this is critical, not just as a set of theological beliefs, but as an actual practical daily lifestyle.
Yes. This was a huge aha moment for me in reading this. Whether you approach this from a religious perspective or purely as ancient psychological wisdom, the premise is fascinating.
It really reframes everything.
It does. The sources argue there's been this tragic misstep in modern religion, specifically in the Western Church. We elevate the theology, the abstract ideas, and we elevate the ethics, the moral rules. But we completely ignore the actual lifestyle of Jesus.
The rhythms and routines.
Exactly. The physical rhythms of how he actually walked through a day.
Yeah, Jesus as the truth gets far more attention than Jesus as the way. But if we look at human psychology, your life is simply the inevitable byproduct of your lifestyle. In business literature, there is a very famous maxim: every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets.
Wow. Read that again, right?
Right. If the current system of your daily life is producing mild depression, chronic burnout, and high stress, then your system is perfectly designed to get those lousy results.
You can't just think your way out of it.
No, you have to change the system.
Okay, but I have to push back on behalf of the listener here.
Sure.
Because when I hear spiritual disciplines or taking on this religious template, my mind immediately goes to more rules, more guilt, and just a heavier burden.
That's a super common reaction.
Right. And in the text, it references the concept of taking on an easy yoke. Now, a yoke literally implies manual labor. It's strapped to an ox. If someone's calendar is already packed, how does taking on a yoke actually translate into an easier life?
It is a completely valid question. The secret lies in the cultural context. In the ancient world, every rabbi had a yoke, which was simply their specific interpretation of how to live. It was their set of teachings.
Okay, so it wasn't a literal farming tool in this context.
Exactly. What made this specific invitation unique was the claim that his yoke was easy and the burden was light. The author Eugene Peterson translates this concept beautifully. He frames it as an invitation to learn the unforced rhythms of grace.
The unforced rhythms of grace. I really love that phrasing. It doesn't sound like a to-do list at all.
It changes the entire paradigm.
Yeah.
The invitation isn't to add 5 more spiritual chores to your already exhausted life. It's an invitation to step out of the burnout society altogether. And the functional mechanism that makes this possible is a concept called margin.
Margin.
Yeah, margin is simply the space between your load and your limits.
Okay, let's explore that,
Okay.
because I feel like most of us operate with absolute zero margin.
Oh, without a doubt.
We live at 100% capacity 100% of the time. If one meeting runs late or there's unexpected traffic, the entire house of cards collapses because there is literally no buffer.
Precisely. A life without margin is characterized by back-to-back appointments, eating lunch over the sink, and falling into bed exhausted but too wired to sleep.
Sounds like my Tuesday.
Right. But a life with margin means deliberately scheduling less than you are capable of, leaving white space on the calendar.
So the lifestyle template inherently injects margin into the day.
Yeah.
But how do we actually execute that? The sources map out these specific tactics of resistance, and I want to dig into the first one. Silence.
Yes. Or what the ancient texts call eremos.
Eremos, right, the solitary place.
Exactly. If you study the historical accounts of Jesus, he frequently retreated to the quiet place, especially after intense public demand. But the psychological mechanism of why we modern people avoid silence is what's truly fascinating here.
Because the quiet is actually terrifying.
It absolutely is
It
terrifying.
feels like you're alone in a room with your worst critic. All the what-ifs and the catastrophizing.
From a neurobiological standpoint, we constantly use external noise podcasts, music, scrolling to suppress that internal noise.
It's like the check engine light is flashing on our dashboard. Instead of taking the car to the mechanic, we just turn the radio up louder.
That is a perfect analogy. We distract ourselves from the terrifying internal noise. But Comer suggests we have to sit in it to get to the other side where actual peace lives.
And that transitions us perfectly into the second tactic of resistance, which is the Sabbath.
A Sabbath, yes.
And I want to clarify this right away because a lot of people hear Sabbath and just think of a boring day where you're not allowed to do anything fun. But the sources define it as a profound spirit of restfulness. It's not just a day off.
Right. There's this incredible irony pointed out in the historical book of Hebrews, where it says, we must make every effort to enter that rest. You have to work hard to rest well.
It is a brilliant paradox because in a culture of constant production, true rest takes fierce intentionality. The Hebrew word Shabbat actually carries a dual meaning. Yeah, it means to stop working and producing. But the second meaning is to delight.
To delight. I love that.
It is an entire day set aside to just delight in being alive.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting to me. The sources frame the Sabbath as a guerrilla warfare tactic against the relentless lust for more.
It really is an act of defiance.
Yeah. Think about it. When you are overwhelmed by the injustice and materialism in the world, one profound thing you can do is actually do nothing one day a week. Stick it to the man by not buying, not selling, not shopping. It is a cheerful revolt against the taskmasters of materialism.
But Comer notes, you can't go 90 miles an hour for 6 days straight and then suddenly slang on the brakes for the Sabbath without getting whiplash.
No, you definitely can't.
So how do we actually prepare our lives to be able to stop? How do we avoid Sabbath whiplash?
That is the crucial pivot in Comer's framework. To avoid that whiplash, the conversation has to move to the final two disciplines, simplicity and slowing.
Which dictate how we live the other 6 days.
Exactly. Let's look at simplicity first.
Well, on the surface, simplicity and minimalism sound identical. Is Comer just rebranding Marie Kondo? Or is there a deeper spiritual cost to our clutter that goes beyond just having a messy garage?
Oh, it goes way beyond aesthetics. The expert Alan Fadling is quoted in the text saying, "The drive to possess is an engine for hurry."
An engine for hurry.
Yes. The more stuff you own, the more of your finite time you have to spend cleaning it, organizing it, insuring it. Every item is a silent tax on your time.
So our stuff literally dictates our pace.
Exactly. Simplicity is looking at minimalism through a spiritual lens. The text quotes the 19th century designer William Morris, who had this brilliant rule: have nothing in your house that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful.
That is an incredibly high bar for the Amazon Prime era.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the psychological trick the text offers to achieve this is beautifully simple. Just wait.
Just wait before buying something.
Yeah. When you want to buy something, force yourself to wait. It gives your rational mind time to catch up to your irrational flesh. You starve the impulsive amygdala response.
Wow, giving the rational mind time to catch up. That is so practical, which flows perfectly into the final discipline, slowing.
Yes, slowing. This is the radical practice of forcing the physical body to move slower in order to slow down the mind.
Because the mind and body are connected.
Exactly. If you physically rush, your mind will be frantic.
And the ultimate practical challenge the book gives for this absolutely cracked me up.
The checkout line.
Yes, Comer challenges the reader to cultivate patience by deliberately picking the longest checkout line at the grocery store.
It sounds completely absurd, doesn't it?
It sounds like pure torture, but I totally get the brilliance behind it. We are literally training our nervous systems. We are building a callus against entitlement.
That is exactly the psychological mechanism. By deliberately placing ourselves in a frustrating situation, we acclimate ourselves to not getting our way.
So when life forces us to wait, we don't panic.
Right. Another profound example of slowing is how we approach our time off. Comer strongly advocates for taking long summer vacations. He talks about treating summer as a verb again.
Summer as a verb. I am definitely going to bring that up at my next performance review.
I'm sure your boss will love that.
Oh, absolutely. But as we synthesize all of this, the solitude, the Sabbath, the simplicity, the slowing, what does this all mean? What is the end goal? Because it can't just be about becoming a calm person with a clean garage.
You've hit on the core thesis. The goal of these practices isn't the practices themselves. The goal is abiding.
Abide.
Yes. The sources reference Brother Lawrence, who talked about the practice of the presence of God. It's about becoming what's called a non-anxious presence in a frantic world.
To be a non-anxious presence today truly sounds like a superpower.
Is the ultimate resilience. Because happiness isn't about perfect circumstances. It's about character and communion. There is a powerful reference to the AA prayer that captures this perfectly accepting hardship as the pathway to peace.
Wow. Accepting hardship as the pathway to peace.
Yeah, it's about letting go of the cultural fantasy of having it all and gratefully accepting the finite life you actually have.
Which brings us back full circle. We spend so much of our time searching for life out there and the next dopamine hit, the next promotion, the next purchase.
When the only place life actually exists is right here.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, to everyone listening, thank you for choosing to spend your time slowing down with us today. To close, I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought built on this source material. What if the most rebellious countercultural thing you could do tomorrow isn't some massive lifestyle overhaul? What if it's simply leaving your phone on the kitchen counter, walking out your front door, and spending 10 uninterrupted minutes just noticing the goodness of the world you're already standing in?